growing older isn't the end. It's the start of a new chapter filled with freedom and opportunity. But how do you live alone while still feeling safe, healthy, and fulfilled every day? If you've ever wondered, can I live independently without feeling lonely or uncertain? Then this video is for you. Let's explore simple but powerful ways to make life after 50 not just manageable, but deeply meaningful. Because independence isn't isolation. It's a journey of self-discovery, connection, and joy. And with a few small changes, your golden years can truly shine. Loneliness doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it slips in quietly. A long, quiet morning, a phone that doesn't ring a week without hearing a familiar voice. And before you know it, the peaceful silence that once felt comforting starts to feel like a void. It's not always talked about, but many older adults who live alone experience this exact feeling. It's easy to gradually drift away from the world, especially when your kids have grown, friends have moved on, and social circles have changed. But here's the truth. You don't have to face this alone. And more importantly, you can do something about it. Staying connected doesn't have to mean big events or loud gatherings. Sometimes, it's as simple as a Saturday phone call, a shared meal with a neighbor, a visit to the local library, or joining a small online group where you swap stories, share hobbies, or just listen. I once heard about a woman in her early 70s who had just retired and recently lost her spouse. She said it felt like life had shut its doors. But then, she started volunteering once a week at her local community center, just helping out in the garden. Over time, something shifted. Those small, passing conversations with strangers slowly became meaningful. The people she barely knew became friends. Her heart began to open again. Human connection is one of the most powerful medicines for the soul. It doesn't take much, just a willingness to open one small door to the world. Remember, living independently doesn't mean living in silence. You can live alone, yes, but your heart should never be lonely. Connection doesn't have to be grand. It just needs to be real. Living alone offers a unique kind of freedom, but it also comes with quiet challenges. There's no one to remind you to take your medication, no one to nudge you to schedule a doctor's visit, and no one to ask, how are you really feeling today? That's why caring for your health, both physical and mental, is one of the most important and loving things you can do for yourself every single day. There's a story I'll never forget about a man in his early 60s. He was sharp, active, and full of life, but he constantly put off routine checkups. It's nothing serious, he'd say. But as the years passed, those little aches quietly grew into bigger problems. Eventually, he said with regret, I wish I had taken better care of myself while I still had the chance. The truth is, health doesn't wait for us. Simple things, setting reminders to take your medicine, making regular appointments, or going for a 15-minute morning walk, can make a big difference. These small habits help preserve your independence and your sense of living fully, not just getting by. And let's not overlook mental health, something too many people tend to ignore. Maybe you've had days where you didn't feel like getting out of bed or wish someone would just call to check in. That's okay, but it shouldn't become your norm. Talk to a friend, write in a journal, or reach out to a therapist. Let your heart breathe a little. You deserve that space. Taking care of yourself isn't a sign of weakness. It's a quiet kind of strength. It's your way of saying, I'm worth the time. I deserve wellness, peace, and joy. Start today, even if it's something small. Maybe it's calling your doctor, drinking a warm glass of water in the morning, or playing a favorite song that makes you want to dance. Your body is your home. Treat it with the kindness and care it truly deserves. When you live alone, it's easy to fall into the mindset of, I'm used to this, I'm fine. But the truth is, all it takes is one small slip at home to change everything. And sadly, a large number of accidents involving older adults happen right inside the comfort of their own homes. Have you ever gotten out of bed in the middle of the night, walked down a dim hallway, and suddenly found yourself unsteady with nothing nearby to grab onto? Maybe you caught your balance that time, but what about next time? Taking steps to make your home safer isn't about weakness. It's about protecting the independence you've worked so hard to maintain. Simple changes, like installing motion sensor nightlights, Adding grab bars in the bathroom or removing slippery throw rugs can make a huge difference. I remember a powerful story about a woman in her 70s who had lived independently for many years. One day while cooking, she tripped on a small kitchen rug and fell. It wasn't life-threatening, but she couldn't reach the phone for hours. After that incident, she got a medical alert necklace. With just one press of a button, she could call for help. She said, "I've never felt more at ease." Beyond fall prevention, think about your overall home security. Secure locks on all doors, a friendly neighbor who can check in regularly, or even a basic doorbell camera. It's not about living in fear. It's about honoring your peace of mind. Your home should be a place of rest, not a space where you feel you have to tiptoe with caution. So protect yourself, not out of fear, but with intention. Every safety measure you take is a quiet, loving message to your future self. I'm taking care of you the best way I know how. Living alone brings a unique sense of freedom. No one rushing you, no strict schedules to follow. But that same freedom, if not handled with care, can quietly turn into a trap. One that leaves you feeling lost in your own home. Unhealthy habits don't usually arrive like a storm. Often they start softly. Skipping breakfast because I'm not that hungry. Watching a few more episodes because I've got nowhere to be. Staying indoors for days because it's a little chilly out. These small choices, repeated over time, can create a sluggish routine. Before long, you may find yourself wondering, why do I feel so tired and unmotivated lately? I once heard a story about a woman who began living alone after her husband passed away. In the beginning, she turned to fast food and hours of TV to fill the silence. But slowly, she realized both her body and spirit were growing weary. Instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, she started small, cooking one homemade meal a day, walking around the garden for a few minutes, and writing down 3 things she was grateful for each night. Little by little, those tiny actions helped her rediscover a sense of energy and joy she thought she had lost. You don't need to fix everything overnight. Just start noticing, then gently shift. Maybe you choose fresher ingredients at the grocery store. Maybe you set a reminder to stand up and stretch a few times a day. Or plan a simple weekend activity, like visiting a local market or calling an old friend. When you live alone, there's no one else to model good habits for you. You become your own example. And every time you choose to care for your body and spirit, you send a powerful message to life itself. I still have so much value, and I choose to live well for me. The home you live in might once have echoed with children's laughter, held the warmth of family dinners, and been the backdrop to decades of memories with the people you love. But as time passes, the kids grow up, loved ones may no longer be around, and the house that was once full of life begins to feel quiet. And sometimes a little too much to manage on your own. Maintaining a large home doesn't just take physical effort. It can slowly drain your emotional energy. Mowing the lawn, fixing a leaky roof, cleaning rooms that no one uses anymore. These tasks can become burdens rather than joys. Still, many people hold on, afraid that downsizing means letting go of precious memories. But the truth is this: memories don't live in bricks and walls. They live in your heart, and no move can take that away. I once heard the story of a woman in her 70s who had lived alone in the same large house for nearly 40 years. She loved that home, but the endless upkeep began to wear her down. After much thought, she decided to move into a smaller, more manageable apartment, where everything was within reach and nothing felt overwhelming. To her surprise, she didn't feel loss. She felt relief. For the first time in years, she had the energy to read, tend to her plants, and truly enjoy her day without a to-do list chasing her. Downsizing doesn't mean giving something up. It means gaining space, mentally, emotionally, and physically, for peace and freedom. And if you choose to stay in your current home, that's absolutely okay. Just remember, asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Hiring help or leaning on family means preserving your strength for what truly matters. One of the hardest feelings to describe when living alone, especially after retirement or the loss of a loved one, is the quiet emptiness that can settle in. There's no daily routine to follow, no one waiting for breakfast, no familiar voice asking, "What are you up to today?" And gradually, you may find yourself wondering, what am I still living for? But here's something important to remember. Just because life has changed doesn't mean your value has diminished. In fact, this might be the exact moment when you get to rewrite your journey, on your own terms, in your own time. I once heard a moving story about a man in his mid-60s. After he retired, his days started to feel invisible, one blending into the next. Then one day, he decided to volunteer a few hours a week at the local library, helping young children learn to read. What began as a small act turned into something much bigger. The kids looked at him with gratitude and trust. And in return, he felt something come alive in his heart again. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes, it's planting a new flower bed on the porch, finishing a painting that sat half done for years, caring for an old cat that needs your love, or simply saying to yourself, "Today, I'm going to live well." You can learn something new, pick up an instrument, write down your memories for your grandchildren, or share your story with someone who needs it. Each small step lights a spark in you, a strength that never truly disappeared, just waited patiently to be awakened. Never forget, your life is still unfolding. You are still here, and only you have the power to make this chapter shine with purpose, connection, and quiet joy. At a certain age, many of us carry a quiet sense of pride. Pride in still being able to take care of ourselves, to live independently, to not need anyone's help. And that's something truly admirable. But sometimes, that same strength can unintentionally build walls, making it hard to reach out when we genuinely need a helping hand. I remember a story shared by a woman in her 70s. She'd been living alone since her husband passed away. Her children often offered to visit or help out, but she usually turned them down. "I don't want to be a bother," she'd say. One day, the kitchen light went out. She spent almost an hour trying to change the bulb on her own. That moment made her stop and think, why am I making this so hard when there are people who truly want to help? The truth is, asking for help doesn't make you less independent. In fact, it's one of the smartest ways to protect your health, your peace of mind, and your overall well-being. When you let someone support you, whether it's running errands, driving you to a doctor's appointment, or simply sitting down for a chat, you're building connection, not dependence. Small acts like asking a neighbor to carry heavy groceries, hiring someone to mow the lawn, or letting your grandkids help organize your paperwork don't take away your freedom. They preserve it. They allow you to save energy for the things that truly matter. And here's the beautiful part. When you open yourself up to receiving, you're also giving others a chance to show their love. Sometimes the most meaningful part of life isn't, "I did it all myself, but we got through it together." You don't have to do it all alone. Knowing when to ask for help is not weakness. It's the wisdom of someone who deeply understands their own worth. The home you live in isn't just a place to sleep. It holds your emotional energy, your memories, and your daily rhythm. When you're living alone, especially after a major life change or loss, it's easy to let things slide. A stack of unopened mail, a cluttered kitchen counter, piles of items set aside to deal with later. But over time, those little messes can begin to reflect what's happening inside. You might feel drained without knowing why, struggle to start your day, or carry a heaviness you can't quite explain. It's not just a messy house. It's a quiet burden building up around you. I once heard a touching story about a woman in her early 60s. After her husband passed away, she lost the motivation to keep up with the house. Papers and used items and unworn clothes began to accumulate. One afternoon, a dear friend visited and gently offered to help her sort through things. Together, they cleaned one corner at a time, talking, laughing, even crying. Afterward, she said, "I finally feel like I can breathe again." Cleaning isn't just about tidying your space. It's an act of self-care. Each time you fold a blanket, clear a counter, or wipe down a shelf, you're quietly reminding yourself, "I deserve to live in a peaceful space." You don't need to do it all at once. Start small, a drawer, a single table, one corner of a room. Let go of what no longer serves you, and make room for calm to return. Your home is a reflection of your inner world. When your surroundings are clean, clear, and intentional, your mind becomes lighter and more at ease. And from that clarity, each day you live alone becomes not just manageable, but meaningful. Because peace doesn't come from the size of your house. It comes from the way it holds your heart. Living alone without the busy schedules or demands of work can feel like total freedom. But have you ever had a day pass by, only to realize you don't remember much about it? Then the next day feels the same, and soon the days begin to blur together. Not sad, exactly, but not joyful either. You're not exhausted, but you don't feel energized. Time flows like a quiet stream, and you're standing on the shore, watching it drift past. It's not because you lack energy. More often, it's because you're missing rhythm, a gentle structure to anchor your day. And the good news is you can create it starting with the smallest of steps. I once heard about a man who felt lost after retirement, but then he decided to create what he called a soft schedule. He woke up at the same time each morning, made a fresh cup of coffee, and listened to classical music. At lunch, he took a short walk around the block. In the afternoon, he worked with wood, an old hobby he loved. At night, he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for. These small routines helped him feel grounded, and he said, "Every day feels like it matters again." You don't need to follow a rigid plan. Just choose a few touch points in your day. A sunny morning on the porch, an hour with a good book, preparing a delicious dinner, or making a weekly phone call to someone you care about. These gentle rituals bring intention to your time and help you feel more present. Life doesn't have to be loud to be meaningful. When you know why each day matters, even in the smallest way, you begin to feel peace return. Because when your time has rhythm, your heart finds its voice again. Over the years, we collect so many keepsakes, each item holding a memory, a chapter of our lives. An old sweater once worn by a loved one, a faded handwritten letter, little gifts from grandchildren, even stacks of papers or bills from years gone by. At first, these things bring comfort, but slowly, they can begin to weigh us down, both in our homes and in our hearts. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like the objects around you were pulling you back in time? That's not necessarily a bad thing. But if those items leave you feeling sad, tired, or stuck, it might be time to gently let some of them go. I once heard a touching story about a woman in her 70s. After her husband passed away, she kept everything that belonged to him, his clothes, his books, even his shoes by the door. She worried that getting rid of those things would mean losing him all over again. But over time, her home began to feel overwhelming and emotionally heavy. With her daughter's help, she began sorting through it all, keeping only a few meaningful items, donating or repurposing the rest, and taking photos of the things she chose to part with. Afterward, she said, "I didn't lose him. I just made room for myself to keep living." Letting go of things isn't forgetting. It's an act of love toward yourself. You can keep what truly brings you joy, but don't let the past take up space meant for peace. Every item you release creates room for light, for ease, for the next chapter. So take your time. Hold on to what makes you smile. Let go of what holds you back, because your life isn't over. It's still unfolding, and you deserve to move through it with a lighter step and an open heart. Living alone is a powerful sign of independence and strength. But as you know, life isn't always smooth sailing. A sudden snowstorm, a power outage, a slip in the bathroom, or even a sharp pain in the middle of the night. When no one's around to help, being prepared can be the difference between panic and peace of mind. I once heard a story that truly stayed with me. It was about a man living alone in a small cabin in a snowy part of the country. One winter, the storm was worse than he expected. The power went out. His phone died. He had no flashlight, no backup heat, and no one knew he was stuck. He made it through, but later he said something I'll never forget. "I learned that being prepared isn't being paranoid. It's how you show love for yourself." You don't have to live in fear, but having an emergency plan lets you live with confidence, one day at a time. Start simple. Keep a printed list of important contacts next to your phone. Include family members, a trusted neighbor, your doctor, and emergency services. Then, prepare a basic emergency kit with bottled water, at least 1 gallon per person per day for several days, along with flashlights and extra batteries, a fully charged power bank for your phone, any essential medications, warm blankets, and non-perishable food like canned goods or protein bars. Check your kit every few months to make sure everything is still usable. You might also consider investing in a medical alert device, a small wearable with a button that connects you directly to help when you need it. It's a simple tool, but it brings a great sense of security, especially when you live alone. Life is full of the unexpected, but that doesn't mean we can't be ready. Sometimes, just knowing you've taken steps to prepare is enough to help you sleep easier at night. Because when you're prepared, you're not just protecting yourself, you're honoring your independence. And that's something to be proud of. Managing finances can be one of the trickiest parts of living alone, especially when you no longer have a steady income like you used to. Bills, paperwork, bank accounts, insurance, monthly payments, it can all pile up quickly, and without someone there to remind you or lend a hand, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. I remember the story of a woman who lived independently at age 75. She always believed she had everything under control, until one day, almost by accident, she discovered she'd been paying for an old cable service she hadn't used in nearly 2 years. When she sat down to review all her accounts, she was surprised to learn she could save hundreds of dollars just by canceling services she no longer needed. You don't need to be a financial expert. You just need a simple system that's easy to follow. Start by reviewing your bank statements once a month. Create a list of fixed monthly expenses: electricity, water, internet, insurance. Set up automatic payments for the most important bills so nothing slips through the cracks. Keep your financial documents organized and in one easily accessible place. This includes bank records, insurance information, your will, Medicare or health cards, and any other important paperwork. And if things ever feel like too much, don't hesitate to ask for help, whether it's a trusted family member or a qualified financial advisor. Sometimes just spending an afternoon going through your records with someone else can bring tremendous peace of mind. Managing money isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about protecting your freedom, your independence, and your peace of mind. When your finances are organized, you create space, both mentally and practically, to enjoy the small, meaningful moments that make life beautiful. Living on your own takes courage and strength. Having a handle on your finances is one more way to take care of yourself and live each day with confidence. When it comes to technology, many older adults feel a bit hesitant. I'm not used to smartphones, or the more high-tech it gets, the more confused I feel. But here's the truth. Technology doesn't have to be complicated. With the right tools, it can quietly support and protect you every single day. Living alone means taking charge of your own safety and well-being, and today's technology makes that easier than ever. Start small. A simple smartphone with speed dial button for loved ones, or a wearable medical alert device that, with the push of a button, can notify someone if you fall, feel unwell, or need immediate help. I remember a story about a man in his 70s who was hesitant to wear an emergency alert bracelet. He thought it was a hassle, but one night, he felt dizzy while walking to the kitchen. With one quick press on the button at his wrist, his son was notified and got him the help he needed. After that, he no longer saw technology as a nuisance. He called it his peace of mind device. There are also other simple tools that can make a big difference. Motion sensor night lights can help prevent nighttime falls by lighting your hallway automatically. Pill reminder machines can make sure you never miss a dose. Video call apps can keep you connected to children and grandchildren across the country, even if they're thousands of miles away. These aren't gadgets to overwhelm you. They're tools designed to help you live more safely, independently, and confidently. And the best part? Most of them are designed with seniors in mind. Easy to use, clear instructions, and minimal setup. Using technology isn't about giving up independence. It's about holding on to it longer. The more support you have at your fingertips, the more time and energy you'll have to enjoy the things that truly matter. A walk in the sunshine, a phone call with someone you love, or a quiet moment with your favorite book. Because peace of mind doesn't come from doing everything alone. It comes from knowing you have what you need when you need it. Many people believe that happiness in our later years must come from something big, a once-in-a-lifetime trip, a big family reunion, or a major life event. But the deepest and most lasting joy often comes from small, steady habits, the quiet moments we create for ourselves every day. Living alone means you get to shape your days exactly the way you want. You're no longer tied to someone else's schedule, And that's a beautiful opportunity to appreciate the ordinary moments that are anything but ordinary. A warm cup of tea by the window in the early morning. An old favorite song playing softly while you cook. A book that makes you smile. A journal where you write down 3 things you're grateful for today. These moments don't take much time. They don't require anyone else to arrange them. They just need you to allow yourself to enjoy them. I once heard about a man who, after retiring, created a golden hour for himself every evening. 1 hour with no phone, no TV, just his old guitar and the sound of the breeze on the porch. He said, "That's when I feel most alive, not just surviving, but truly living." Simple rituals like that can reconnect you with yourself, with the things that once brought you joy, the things that still nourish your spirit. And in doing so, your days begin to feel less like time simply passing and more like a collection of meaningful moments. Ask yourself, what used to make me feel happy? Start there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. Because happiness isn't far away. It lives in the quiet habits you give yourself day by day. When people talk about living alone, it's often linked with isolation. But the truth is, living independently doesn't mean being cut off. It means living life on your own terms with purpose, freedom, and intention. You might live in a quiet home, but that doesn't mean your heart has to be quiet. You can still stay connected, still give and receive love, still build relationships in ways that feel right for you. Because independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing what you need and having the courage to choose it. I once heard a simple yet beautiful story about a woman living alone in a small apartment. Every morning, she walked to the local park, greet familiar faces, and bring homemade cookies to share with neighborhood kids. Every Friday night, she'd call her granddaughter just to chat about her day. She lived alone, but she never felt lonely. For her, connection didn't mean a crowd. It meant sincerity. Living independently is a journey. Some days are strong and full, others may feel uncertain. But you don't have to walk that road in silence. Allow yourself to reach out, to ask for help when needed, to join a group or community that brings meaning to your life. That's not breaking your independence. It's enriching it with human connection. You have every right to design your days in a way that brings you peace, joy, and a sense of wholeness. Living alone doesn't mean living with an empty heart. Let your journey of independence be one of connection, kindness, and love. Let it be a life that glows, not in someone else's way, but in your own. After everything we've shared today, one message stands out clearly. Living alone is not a step backward. It's a powerful opportunity to live more fully, more authentically, and more in tune with who you truly are. I truly believe that growing older isn't the final chapter. It's a new one where you get to choose to lead, to be loved by yourself, and through the connections you build each day. Through each story and piece of advice, I've come to understand something simple yet profound. Living independently doesn't mean living in loneliness. It means learning to care for yourself, staying connected, and having the courage to create a life worth living day by day. Remember this. You don't have to carry everything on your own. You can ask for help. You can rest. And you can start over at any age, whether you live alone or not. If today's reflections brought you comfort or insight, feel free to click like, leave a comment about what resonated most with you, and subscribe for more thoughtful content on living independently, healthfully, and joyfully in this meaningful stage of life. And if you feel moved to share your story, please do. You never know who might be inspired by your words. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I hope you continue to find peace, fulfillment, and moments of deep meaning in the everyday. Because growing older isn't about living less. It's about living deeper.